Training Camp 2021 from Hallis Hall, believe it or not, with fans included. We are back breaking down positions here with you. With Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak here at the PNC Studios at Hallis Hall. We're going to start with the pass catchers, the tight ends, and the wide receivers. At the top of the depth chart for the receiver position, you've got veteran stability, dependability, and versatility. And we'll break down the rest of it. But you got to start with Allen Robinson, one of the premier receivers in the National Football League. And then his sidekick now, the second year, Darnell Mooney. We're talking about almost 250 targets between those two guys last season. I expect that number to remain the same.
Yeah, you know what to expect with a guy like Allen Robinson. He's pure professional. He knows how to get his body prepared. He knows how to be mentally ready once training camp gets here. Darnell Mooney was a little unknown to all of us last year, and he just kept filling his role and getting better and requiring more targets and putting more pressure on the opponent's defense. So when you have those two guys as your starting of the whole wide receiver group, it's a good starting point. And now you need, it's like the road work signs on your way here, improvements underway, construction on the way. So I think with the whole guys that we're going to be able to use, looking forward to it.
And the development of having an off season as well for a guy like Darnell Mooney, just to pack on a little bit more muscle. We know his speed. He can get behind a defense. And so those connections, I believe, will get better as well, because there were some passes that were in his direction that really were difficult to bring down, and he took a lot of pounding last year as well, but I expect him to stretch that field. Then you talk about what's going to happen. Now it's just a mix and match. Whatever role they can fill will be the next step in the process to fill that slot receiver position and the depth. 4 or 5 players with some special teams added to it. You got to start with the veterans, though. A 7-year veteran like Marquise Goodwin and Jameer Byrd, who had his best year last year for the New England Patriots, a 5-year player, because those guys are field stretchers also, both horizontally and vertically.
Right. I like Matt Nagy when he was talking about him at the podium. Yeah, they have the reputation of speed, but they're not just speed. They're good football players. And I think that's a key ingredient here, and that's one of the main elements that you have to have. Yeah, you can be attracted to blazing type of 40 times. However, when they're given the opportunity to make the difficult catches that they're going to be given because of the anticipatory ability of Andy Dalton, that, hey, these receivers are going to have an opportunity to flourish. So they'd have veteran experience, they have NFL experience, and I think that they can fit into the role that's going to be required of them.
I'm excited about Daz Newsome. Back in college, he was a tackle breaker. He's a field stretcher as well. Out of the slot, where his primary role was at North Carolina. He's a tough football player right here.
Yeah, we had an early glimpse of him, of what he's capable of, and he developed a nice relationship with the quarterback position within this offense early, and then unfortunately had the injury setback. It doesn't mean that he can't be a major contributor to the team going forward. However, it's just a little bit of make sure that you get prepared, you get healthy, and then when you get inserted in this lineup, take advantage of it, because, again, just mentioning not knowing a lot about Darnell before he burst onto the scene last year, rookies now are expected to contribute, and they have a desire and they have the ability to do so.
Big time right now for Riley Ridley. And Javon Wims, guys who've been here now for several years, and Ridley was a 4th-round pick, Wims a 7th. We saw glimpses from both, and now this is the time.
I've always had high expectations for Riley. And when I see his ability, I see his route running, his catching ability, I don't know, I still think that he can be a major contributor here. So as much as we talked about the other guys, the newbies that have burst onto the scene, I think Riley Ridley can still be a major contributor here. Hey, and Javon Wims, it's hard not to talk about his size. Here's a guy that's 6'4". I think, Jeff, we've been out here for every training camp practice since Javon has been here. And a lot of times at the end of the camp, we talk about who's been the most explosive receiver, and it's been Javon. So now Javon is to take that preseason practices from training camp and bring him into the regular season.
All right, let's switch to tight end. I didn't have the occasion to see Cole Kmet face-to-face until the other day, because we missed all of that last year just on Zoom. But I don't know what he looked like, with a T-shirt on before, but boy, is this guy, he is fit and ready to hit. And I'm very impressed with his body type, but also just listening to his commitment and what he wants to be, and hearing Matt Nagy talk about the guy, you kind of have to say, okay, you can't learn everything in one day. but I like that enthusiasm. I think Cole Kmet is knocking on the door of greatness. I really do.
Well, if you saw him face to face, you were on a ladder because he's walking around at about 6'6". He is a big guy. When you look at the tight end position and what their capabilities are for this offense, that's where the sky's the limit, because Jimmy Graham has really offered us a lot as far as getting to know him as a Bear. But when you look at Cole Kmet and what he did throughout the second half of the season, and now when he has an off season to offer his improvement because he didn't last year, I think Cole has, got stardom written all over him in terms of what ultimately his NFL career can be.
Well, he only had 34% of the snaps in the first 9 games. That bumped up to 85% over the final 6 games of last season. So a lot of scratching the surface there on the potential, but I think he'll realize his potential quite quickly.
And Coach Nagy talked about it, his ability to be a good blocker as well as a receiver. I think it can't go understated how important his role is, a point of attack blocker for Cole Kmet. Because when you talk about what you want to do with the running game and David Montgomery and how many carries you want to offer the backfield, his role is just as important on the line of scrimmage as it is 10 yards or off the line of scrimmage.
And to me, Jimmy Graham is an invaluable resource, tool, and the best red zone tight end that you can possibly find in the National Football League. I don't care what age, how many years in the league. Yeah, he admitted he contemplated moving on, but I think he wants to win a Super Bowl, and that's all he's driven by right now, is just to be a winner on a winning program. And what he does is just he cleans up a quarterback's throws. He's a matchup nightmare still, and outstanding work last season with 50 catches, 456 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So Jimmy Graham is a great partner for Cole Kmet. He's already learned a ton, and he's a big voice in that locker room. All right, they brought in Jesse James. We don't know a lot about him. We've seen him obviously at Pittsburgh and Detroit, but you see the size, 6'7". He can get downfield as well.
Yeah, and from the teams that he's come from, he's got a reputation of being a blocker as well as a pass catcher. And so I think when you look at multiple tight end sets, whether it's short yardage, goal line, or different instances in the field, you always need that counterpart to the opposite side of the line of scrimmage. And so I think Jesse James can fill that role, but he also has pass catching ability, and he's a big target.
All right, J.P. Holtz. This is just a football player, rugged, doesn't say much, just does the job, and he's very valuable on special teams. That obviously is an important aspect of both of these positions, at wide receiver and tight end. And then the only player from 2019, just a couple of years ago, out of the 9 that were at training camp, that's still in a Bears uniform at the tight end position, now 25 pounds heavier, a little longer hair, and a little stockier, is Jesper Horsted. Every camp he comes up with a big play. Every preseason game comes up with a big play. So don't fall asleep on this cat either, because I think he has a big future as well.
Yeah, Jesper and JP, one of the multiple roles they're going to face is being a blocker, being an H-back, and being a fullback, and then contributing on special teams. So when you look at the role of these tight ends, it's diverse because they're going to have a lot of requirements according to making sure this offense can run efficiently, can have that short yardage power, whether they're on the line of scrimmage or in the backfield. So I think it's a nice group with these tight ends because they're versatile, they're developing, and they have size.
Bottom line, there's a lot of reliability here and blossoming young talent. A lot of room to grow for this position group, wide receiver and tight end. We'll continue our position breakdown throughout the course of training camp. Stay right here. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for watching.